What if I told you that Pedri, one of the purest midfielders of his generation, has already said enough to quietly shake the Messi-Ronaldo debate? Not through a screaming headline, not through some explosive press conference, and not even through a direct attack on Cristiano Ronaldo, but through a few calm answers, a few almost innocent confessions that reveal something deeper about what it feels like to play football beside Lionel Messi while growing up in the shadow of the greatest rivalry the sport has ever seen. Because Pedri has spoken about Messi in a way that very few young stars ever speak about another player. Not like a fan trying to be respectful, not like a teammate giving the usual compliments, but like someone who stepped into that dressing room, saw the aura up close, felt the speed of his mind, and realized immediately that this was not normal football anymore. And that is where this story becomes uncomfortable. Because if a midfielder as intelligent as Pedri keeps describing Messi as something impossible to imitate, impossible to compare, and almost impossible to process in real time, then maybe the Messi-Ronaldo debate was never only about goals, Ballon d'Ors, or trophies. Maybe it was also about the feeling each one leaves behind. One making football seem readable, almost peaceful, even at its highest speed. The other turning the sport into a test of survival, obsession, and punishment. Same era, same throne, two legends. So why does Pedri's view of Messi matter so much? And what does it reveal? Not just about Messi, not just about Ronaldo, but about the true nature of greatness in football. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it if you enjoy deep football stories that go beyond goals and trophies. Pedri is not a random voice in this debate. He is not a retired pundit guessing from the outside. He is not a nostalgic ex-player romanticizing the past. He is someone who actually lived a piece of the Messi experience from the inside. He arrived at Barcelona in 2020, in Messi's final season at the club, and immediately became one of the most important young players in the squad. In that first season alone, Pedri made 52 appearances for Barca, more than any other player in the team, and that breakthrough year later earned him both the Golden Boy and the Copa Trophy. That matters, because it means Pedri did not just admire Messi from television like the rest of the world. He trained with him, shared a dressing room with him, played official matches with him, saw the movements before the cameras could even capture them, saw the decisions before defenders understood what was happening. And like so many players who get close to Messi, he ended up speaking about him with a mix of admiration and disbelief. Pedri has already admitted that getting along with Messi is very easy. He has also said something even more revealing, that when you hear Leo, you know you have to give him the ball because he will create danger and usually finish the play the way only he can. Later, when asked directly about the GOAT debate, Pedri answered even more clearly. Messi? Without a doubt. But Cristiano is a great player as well. And in another answer, he went even further. There is only one Messi. To repeat what he did is not possible. That is why Pedri's words hit differently, because this is not just praise. This is testimony. And even now, years after that season together, the contrast between the two icons has not disappeared. Messi, now 38 years old, continues his career at Inter Miami. Cristiano Ronaldo, now 41, remains at Al Nassr. One still represents control, rhythm, and interpretation. The other still represents force, output, obsession, and the idea that the next action must end in blood. Same era, same ambition, different ways of dominating football. And that is where Pedri's perspective becomes unsettling. Because if both men conquered the same generation, shattered the same standards, and forced the whole football world to choose sides, why do so many players speak about Messi as if he makes the game understandable, while Ronaldo feels like the embodiment of permanent pressure? That question takes us to the moment Pedri said the part that changes everything. Pedri did not make some dramatic confession about Messi and Ronaldo in one single iconic sentence, the way people imagine these debates happen. There was no grand speech, no viral confrontation, no disrespect. In fact, that is exactly why his words matter more. They came quietly. One answer here, one answer there, a memory about training, a sentence about how easy it was to understand Messi, a simple decision in the GOAT debate, a calm admission that no one can repeat what Messi did. Piece by piece, Pedri painted a picture that says far more than any loud opinion ever could. Because when a player like Pedri says that getting along with Messi is easy, that is not small talk. It is a tactical revelation. Football at the elite level is chaos disguised as structure. The game is too fast, the margins are too small, and the number of decisions per second is too brutal for anything to feel easy. So, when an elite midfielder says that playing with one man simplifies everything, what he is really saying is that this player sees the game before everybody else. He reduces panic, he reduces noise, he reduces uncertainty, and that is Messi's power. He makes world-class footballers feel calmer. He makes the impossible look organized. He makes the game feel as if it can be solved. Cristiano Ronaldo's greatness, on the other hand, has always felt different. Even for players who admire him, the vocabulary around him is different. With Ronaldo, the words are intensity, ambition, numbers, mentality, explosion, danger. He is not the player who makes the game feel slower. He is the player who speeds up the consequences. One lapse, one rebound, one cross, one second of hesitation, and the punishment is immediate. So even though Pedri did not frame it in the exact same language Suarez once used, the contrast is still there. Messi gives players the feeling that football can be read. Ronaldo gives opponents the feeling that football can turn against them at any second. And that distinction is not minor. It is the entire debate. When you listen carefully to Pedri, what you hear is not just admiration for Messi's talent. You hear relief. You hear trust. You hear the voice of a midfielder who realized that next to Messi, the game stops feeling random. The right pass becomes obvious. The right movement becomes visible. The hardest moments stop feeling so violent. That is why so many intelligent players speak about Messi the same way. Not because he screams at them, not because he dominates the dressing room with fear, not because he demands blind obedience, but because he removes fear from the field. He gives football back its logic. Ronaldo, meanwhile, dominates through a different kind of logic. His greatness is built on turning every match into a question you cannot postpone. Can you survive 90 minutes without one mistake? Can you defend every cross? Can you match every sprint, every leap, every transition, every finish? Can you withstand the pressure of a player who treats every second as a personal war against limitation? That is not calm. That is escalation. And that is why the rivalry split the game in two. Pedri's perspective pushes us beyond personal taste and into something bigger. Because what he reveals is not only about Messi, it is about two opposing models of greatness that have shaped modern football for nearly 2 decades. Messi belongs to the lineage of players who bend football to their understanding. Players who don't simply win matches, but reorganize them. They slow time. They manipulate angles. They make defenders take one extra step in the wrong direction, then punish the entire structure for it. With those players, the match does not feel wild. It feels guided. Even in chaos, there is a hidden order. Cristiano Ronaldo belongs to the lineage of players who conquer football through force of will. Players who attack the game until it breaks. Players whose presence alone changes defensive behavior, reshapes positioning, and creates anxiety before the decisive action even happens. With those players, the match never feels settled. It feels hunted. That is why Messi and Ronaldo have inspired different generations of footballers. Messi inspired those who believe football is about reading, about geometry, about timing, about weight of pass, about silence, about intelligence expressed through movement. Ronaldo inspired those who believe football is about imposing yourself, about building an elite body, about endless repetition, about numbers, about intensity, about never accepting any natural limit. Neither path is false, neither path is small, but they lead to radically different emotional worlds. And that is what makes Pedri's words so powerful. Because when he says there is only one Messi, he is not just crowning a winner. He is describing a category of experience. He is saying that some players can be replicated in parts, imitated in style, echoed in moments. Messi cannot. Not really. Not as a total footballing sensation. Not as a presence. Not as a way of making elite footballers feel the game has suddenly become simpler than it should be. That should change how we judge greatness. Because greatness at this level is not only about what a player produces, it is about what he forces everyone else to become. Messi reshapes teammates. Around him, midfielders become calmer. Runners become more precise. Fullbacks overlap with more faith. Strikers make movements they would not risk with anyone else. Even average phases of possession begin to feel dangerous because Messi gives the entire structure confidence. He doesn't just create chances, he improves belief. Ronaldo reshapes opponents. Against him, defenders drop earlier. Center backs become jumpier. Goalkeepers prepare for shots before the ball even arrives. Entire teams start thinking about prevention before they think about their own play. He doesn't just score goals, he reorganizes fear. And that is why the debate has never died. Because one form of greatness elevates, the other intimidates. One makes the game feel beautiful, the other makes the game feel merciless. Pedri, in his own way, gives us a mirror here. Because when fans argue about Messi and Ronaldo, they are often revealing more about themselves than about the players. Some people are drawn to order, elegance, and genius that clarifies everything around it. Others are drawn to willpower, punishment, and a kind of greatness that feels forged through refusal, through repetition, through almost inhuman hunger. Do you want football to be something that makes sense? Or do you want football to be something that overwhelms you? That is the real choice. And maybe that is why Pedri's words keep echoing. Because he is not speaking as a journalist. He is not speaking as a fan account. He is not speaking from distance. He is speaking as someone who walked into the dressing room of Barcelona, saw Messi in front of him, and thought, "What am I doing here with this guy?" He has admitted that he used to watch Messi train in disbelief, that he stared at him, that from the first day he felt that aura. Those are not ordinary compliments. Those are the words of a player whose idea of football was altered by direct contact with another level of intelligence. And that should make us pause. Because if a player as gifted as Pedri still talks about Messi with that kind of awe, then perhaps the debate was never just statistical. Perhaps numbers were only the visible part of the argument. Underneath, something else was always happening. Messi was making people believe football could still be poetry at top speed. Ronaldo was making people believe football could still be conquered through obsession. One turned the sport into a language, the other turned it into a battlefield. No wonder the world never agreed. No wonder the rivalry defined an era. And no wonder it still feels personal. Pedri did not end the Messi-Ronaldo debate. He explained in a quieter and more revealing way why it can never really end. Because Messi and Ronaldo are not two versions of the same greatness. They are two different definitions of it. Messi wins by making football feel quieter, slower, clearer, almost logical. Ronaldo wins by making football feel louder, faster, harsher, and impossible to escape. Pedri felt one of those truths from the inside. He lived a season beside Messi and came away saying, in one form or another, what so many teammates have hinted at for years, that next to Leo, the game becomes easier to breathe, easier to read, easier to trust. That does not make Cristiano any less monumental. It simply reveals that his greatness lives in a different temperature. And maybe that is the part most people miss. This debate is not really about choosing the better resume anymore. It is about choosing the footballing truth that moves you most. Do you believe in control, or interruption, in harmony, or in domination, in the genius who untangles the game, or in the monster who punishes it? There is no wrong answer, only honesty. And that is why this rivalry will never die. Not because Messi and Ronaldo are still active, but because they represent two forces that will always exist in football. Now it's your turn. After hearing Pedri's view, who would you rather play with? And who would you rather face? Tell us in the comments, like the video if this story made you think, and subscribe to the channel, because football's greatest stories are never just about football.